All right. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Robert at Scott Leroy Marketing. To get started with prepping for the new sites, we're going to get logged into MyKW. So mykw.kw.com. If you're not already logged in there, definitely get logged in, because the first thing that we're going to do is go and download our Playster content. So if you have a Playster website and you've been using that and you've been putting your content on there, you've been creating custom pages and you've been making blog posts and things like that, you definitely want to have an archive of that content, because when the new sites go live on the 22nd, the Playster sites are going to be deleted. In fact, we're going to see there's a notice when we go over into Playster telling you that the sites are going to be deleted on the 22nd and you have to download your content. So we're going to go over downloading that content. We're going to open it up and look at it, see what that means, what we're going to do with it. And then we're going to go over into Command, and we're going to make sure a couple of things are set up prior to actually going and working on what's going to be in the site. Actually, it's just one thing. We're going to make sure that your marketing profile is completed there within Command, because the site is going to pull some information from that profile automatically. And then once we're in Command and we're made sure that profile is completed, we're going to go through the Kelly Guide, and it's going to lead us step by step through everything that we can do to get the site ready to go once it becomes available. It's going to do basically everything but launch it. And then we're going to go over to the section where in the future you're going to be able to create custom pages. It's not available right now, but I do want to show you that section because it will be available in the future for you to create additional pages versus the couple that are available with the site when it first comes out. And then lastly, we're going to cover some information about changing the way your domain is forwarded to your Playster site so that when the new site comes out, it'll actually automatically re-forward over to the new site versus having to change settings once the new site comes out. So we're going to be messing, it's not very complicated. We're just going to be changing a couple of DNS records, and I'm going to do that in GoDaddy just to show you what that looks like. So once you're logged into MyKW, up in the very top black menu, we'll hover over Technology, then we'll click on KW Websites. And then on this page, if you have it, you're going to click on that red Go to My Website button. If you don't have this button, that means you don't have a Playster site. So you can skip past this section that we're going to go through here at the beginning because there is no content for you to download. Once you open up Playster, you should, if you don't, I'm not sure what happened, but you should see this message right here. Action required, your site is scheduled to be deleted. So what it's telling you here is that when the new command sites come out on the 22nd, the Playster site is automatically going to be turned off. What's the question here? My local board required an IDX. Yeah, we'll get to IDX in a little bit. That's a very good question, and we will get to that in just a little bit. So what was I saying? So on the 22nd, new site comes on, Playster site gets turned off, and you'll have no access to anything within Playster. So this download that we're doing today, you're not going to be able to do that after the 22nd. So you'd better do that today or in the next 3 weeks if you want that content on your Playster site in order to, in the future, put it onto your command site. Now, there is the option, if you wanted to, in Playster, you could click that Upgrade Now button, and then you'd be charged by Playster. There'd be an additional process to that, but you'd be charged $60 a month. And from what I understand, it's a 2-year contract with Playster. So Playster would be charging you that. You'd be able to keep your site exactly as it is. And I believe it's a 2-year contract. You'd have to contact them to confirm that 100%. But I think that's what I saw from them. So instead, if we're not keeping the Playster site, we can close this. But if you do decide to keep the Playster site maybe at a later time after you've closed that, you can definitely reach out to Playster separately in order to get that what's that called? Get that upgrade so that you can keep your Playster site. Once we're in our Playster dashboard here, up in the very top right, we're going to click on our grid of 9 squares. And in the menu that drops down, we'll click on Sites. So we can ignore if this message pops up for you. You can ignore that. You don't have to click on Reactivate Now. Instead, just to the right of that, and by the way, if your site is already launched and it says Preview Site, you can ignore that as well. Instead, we're going to click on Download. Now, there's a couple of cases where you might not have this download link. The most common one is if you're using a custom domain and it's mapped to your Playster site, we need to go into the Playster settings and take that out temporarily in order to download the content, then you can put it back in. So what we do if you don't have this download link is instead we're going to go over to Edit Site here. And that's going to take us into our site info section down here. And again, we can ignore this. We're going to scroll down here to the More section and click on Custom Domain. And then here in custom domain, if you have your own custom domain that you purchased and you've set up that DNS mapping and everything, and it shows custom domain here above your domain, you're going to need to click on the button over on the right that says remove or disconnect or whatever the button is to the right for your custom domain. Then you'll save that. And then we're going to come back here to our sites page, and then you should have that download button there. Once you get your file downloaded, and I already did that accidentally. So it's going to come out as export.zip. This is a zip file. It's going to have a bunch of different files inside it, and we'll look at the contents of that in just a minute. Once you get that downloaded, if you're using that custom domain, you can go and put it back. So we're going to go to Edit Site again. And we're going to come down to custom domain here under more. And we're always going to ignore whatever that pop-up is there. And then you would re-add your custom domain here in this box at the bottom. And you do need to include the www.such and such. So say your website was www.johnsmith.com. You would need to put that entire thing in there, then click on Add Domain, and then re-save it. So that custom domain could be reactivated for your site. And it's pretty much instant once you re-put it back in there. If you tried that and you still don't get that download link, you're actually going to need to contact Playster support directly. And if you need information about how to contact them, it's right at the bottom of support.playster.com. Or we can send that to you. Just send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. Okay, now that we've got our Playster content downloaded, let's go look at what that file looks like. So this is a zip file. If you're using any version of Windows starting at 7, or basically any version of Mac, it's built in to extract these zip files. So we're just going to right-click on this, and we'll click on, my mouse doesn't want to listen, we'll click on Extract All. And it's going to ask me, where do I want to extract this to? You can just leave it as the default. It's just going to put it back in the same folder that the original file's in. And if this is checked, go ahead and uncheck this where it says show extracted files when complete, because we don't want to open up a new window showing these files. And then we'll click on extract. And now it's going to create a folder here in my downloads folder that has the same name as the original zip file. So, again, that's right-click, extract all, and then click on extract, and it's going to create a folder here in the same folder that the original zip file's in. When you open up that folder, it's going to have a bunch of different text files in here. The first one here, images, when you open that up, and it's opening it up in Notepad here, it's going to have links to any custom images that you've uploaded to the site. So if you have any custom slideshow images on your homepage, if you added any images to any blog posts or any custom pages, say your About page, you put a picture of you on there. It's not on there by default. You would have needed to put that in manually. Say you've got our past listings and you had pictures of your previous listings on there, or the Meet the Team page, you've uploaded images of your team members. It's going to have the link for each and every one of the images that you've inputted into the Playster site here. And what we need to do is highlight the link for that image. We're going to right-click and copy that. And now we have to go into our web browser, Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Internet Explorer, whatever you're using. Actually, you can't be using Internet Explorer. Playster won't allow it. So in your browser, you'll open up a new tab and right-click and paste that link in there. And then we'll hit enter to go look at that image. And it would show you whatever that image was that you had uploaded previously. And then here you would want to right click and save image as, or download image, or whatever that is. We don't want to copy the image or the address. We want to save the images. So you want to save that to, let's say, we're going to put it in the same export here. And we're going to create a new folder, call it images. And we're just going to save it with whatever the file name is here. So now in this folder that we were working in, we have another folder called images, and in there is that logo that we just downloaded. And you need to repeat that process for each and every image that you'd ever uploaded to the site. So your picture, your team members' pictures, your slideshow images, any listing images you've uploaded, any blog post pictures you've uploaded, anything you want to keep, any of those images, you'd need to repeat this process. So you'd be going into the Notepad file, the text file, highlight it, copy, go over to your browser and paste, hit enter, right click, save image as, or download image, or whatever that is. If you're unclear on that process, remember this class is being recorded, so you can, in a couple of hours, come back to this video and play this over as many times as you need to follow it in order to get those images downloaded from your site. Moving on to the next file, back here in my export file, we've got options.txt. So this is giving me some basic stuff about kind of the homepage of our website. So we've got the title of the site. So this is sort of some SEO stuff, search engine optimization. There isn't a lot of that in the command site, but there's a couple of spots where you can put in a title and you can put in a description. So if you've got a title and you've got a description for your site in this file, you can just copy and paste that into the place for it in the command site. And we're going to be going over where that is in a little bit. The font package is only if you were working with a designer to create your own site from scratch and you wanted to match what Playstore had. You can ignore this line because that's not an option in the Playstore sites. If you're going to put links to your social media, there's the links there. The logo is that one that we just downloaded. So if you already downloaded all of your images out of that images file, then you wouldn't need to re-download this image here. And for some reason, it put Twitter down underneath that. And then for the footer logos down here, depending on how many links you had in there, you can copy and paste the text and copy and paste the URL into whatever new site you're using, which I'll show you where that goes in the command site as well. This is especially important for agents in Texas. There's a whole bunch of agents in Texas. And you guys all know you have to have those TREC forms linked on your website on every page down in the footer. So that's your information about brokerage services and your consumer protection notice. These aren't going to be linked in the command site the same way that they are in the Playstore site. You're actually going to have to, put the title of the document and then a colon and then paste in the address of the document that's in, your eEdge images or wherever you have it saved. If you want instructions for how to get the link for your IABS and your CPN, we do have a separate class showing you how to do that. You can go look that up on YouTube. You can just search Scott Leroy TREC and it shows you those instructions for how to get that link, and then you can paste that into the command settings. Closing this file here, dropping down here to page.txt. This is going to have the contents of all pages that you've created on your site. So you've got a featured listings page. It's going to have whatever the contents of that was. Featured listings doesn't have a content section, so it's not going to have the content in there. We're actually going to scroll down here until we find a page that actually has some content in it, which is going to be our About page. So we've got our title up here as About. It tells you that this was live, it was published, it wasn't kept in a draft. Don't know why it doesn't have a date here for when it was published, but last time it was edited. The type of template that it was chosen for in Playstore, I'm not sure why that was exported because that's only for Playstore. And then down here in content, we've got what was actually in the site, in the page. This is the HTML code for exactly what was in your page. So one thing to know about copying and pasting this over to the command site is it's actually not going to allow any HTML code, or at least it's not going to render it. You can paste it in there, but then you're going to end up with tags like this just showing on your site for everybody that's visiting to see. So when you copy and paste this into the command site, we're going to need to actually remove those tags, and you can just highlight and delete them, anything that's in between those caret symbols there. And this is going to be showing you any of the content for any pages you've created. So Scott only has one page that has any content on it, but if you've put any work into your site, like you've got your Meet the Team page or you've got your testimonials page or things like that, there'll be more sections in this file that have actual content to copy and paste over into your new site. Closing this one and coming down here into post, this is going to be basically the same thing that we just looked at, but for blog posts versus pages. So if you've got any blog posts created, and there are these 4 that were automatically created with the site, but if you have any additional beyond that, it's going to list all of that content here in this file as well. You've got your title again, you've got the status of whether it was published or in a draft, and then down here you've got the actual content for what was in that blog post. Now, remember, that you can just highlight and copy and paste all of this, but you have to remove any of the HTML tags in here. So anything that's in between those brackets, you will eventually be able to create a blog on your Playster site, or excuse me, on your command site. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like. Some of the descriptions we've heard from the KW International Development team are that it's going to be more personalized. You're going to basically write an article, and then you're going to choose either individual people that should be notified that this article was published, or a tag selection of multiple people that should be notified. And it's going to go kind of into their own personal feed. What they're telling us is there's not going to be a blog link or a blog button on your website where everybody's going to be able to go view all the blog content that you've written. Instead, it's going to be more like, okay, this blog is for buyers, so I'm going to check the tag for buyers, and only buyers are going to be able to see this in their personal feed, or for sellers, or for friends or family, whatever you want to do. So this is basically the same thing as that Pages. If you want to copy and paste this into blogs when that becomes available on the new sites, which is going to be probably a couple of months down the road at least, you'll have that here in this file, so you can copy and paste that later. And then last is this readme.txt. It's basically telling you if you're working with a designer, just give them all of these files and they'll take care of it. For the rest of everybody that's using the command sites, you can basically ignore this file, because it's basically telling you just copy and paste out of the other files into your new site. No big deal. Okay. So that's it for working with the Playster site, getting that content downloaded. If you're unclear on what's in these files, again, this is recorded. You can go back over what's in these files here, and also definitely send me questions if you have them. And speaking of questions, I am going to address that one about IDX. You're not going to need to submit an IDX request for these new sites. That's one of my favorite things about them. The IDX is coming down from KW International, and it's nationwide. It's all listings everywhere. So you don't have to submit an IDX request for your specific MLS area, because KW is going to be showing all of the listings no matter what the MLS is. So IDX is going to be a thing of the past for the website. Now, my understanding, since the new KW apps are going to be basically part of the website, they're going to be very interconnected and integrated. The new apps are also, my understanding, not going to need an IDX request to be sent the way that they are now to WolfNet for eAgentC. So Market Center leadership, you can rejoice. That's one less IDX request that's going to need to be sent sometime in the future when the new apps come out. For now, continue sending that, but in the future, you're not going to have to. And then if eEdge is sticking around, we're expecting that for at least another year. But after that, or until then, eEdge will still need IDX requests sent if you want to use IDX features in your eEdge database, or if you decide you want to use the eEdge site, you are still going to need to submit IDX for that. But in the future, not the app, and for the new command sites, not at all. You're never going to have to submit IDX because it's coming from KW International. It's a good question. Okay, so now that we've got our Playster content downloaded and we know what it looks like and how we're going to use that, you just save that. Leave it on your computer until new features come into the site, like that blog, and then you can copy and paste that into there. So now we're going to come over to command, and we're going to make sure that your marketing profile is filled out fully and correctly, because that information is going to automatically populate into the site once it goes live. So once you're logged into command, which is agent.kw.com, up in the very top right, you're going to click on your name, and then we're going to click on settings, the third one down. And then once we're on the settings page, over on the left, we'll click on Connect Settings to drop that menu down, and then we'll click the only item in that menu, which is the marketing profile. So on this page, we're just going to start at the top. There are a couple of things that are required. It's either going to say required in parentheses, or it's going to have a red asterisk next to it, which it won't let me highlight for some reason. So we'll go through putting everything in here, where to get that information and all of that. So for this picture here, it's recommending a square image. It recommends 360 by 360 because that's a good size for web use, and it may be scaled a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller automatically by different marketing materials or the website. But square is the main thing you want to focus on. So if your image is 500 by 500, that's probably fine. If your image is 200 by 200, that might be a little bit small. You might want to get a little bit bigger one. If your image is 1,000 by 1,000, that might get you into a little bit of trouble with this 1 megabyte file size limit. You may need to shrink that down to maybe 750 by 750 to make sure the file is small enough to be uploaded here. So you would just click upload, choose your image, and then there it would be to automatically populate on your site and your marketing materials. The main thing is square and under 1 megabyte. It does not have to be exactly 360 by 360 pixels, just square under 1 megabyte. That's all it cares about. Same here for your team logo. So if you're not part of a team, you can ignore this spot. It's not required. If you're not the rainmaker on a team, ask your rainmaker whether they want that team logo to be uploaded here. If you are the rainmaker, definitely want to put that logo in here. And again, it wants it to be square. Again, doesn't have to be 360 by 360 exactly, just square and under 1 megabyte. And when you make that logo square, this is something that you're maybe going to have to ask your designer to do. This is not something that we are able to do here. You're going to ask them to put a little bit of padding or white space around the actual logo so that it shows up nice in this circle here, like we've got here for our SLM logo. If we were to, let me go copy this image address and go look at it by itself here. If we were to look at this image here, we see it's square, but it's got some good red or open or white space or padding around the actual logo so that when it shows in a circle, and it's not always going to, sometimes it's going to be that square, but when it does show in a circle, you'll be able to see the entire thing. And similarly, if you've got your picture in a square, but your head is very much near the top, there's the chance when it shows in a circle that it may cut off the top of your head. So when you crop that down into a square, you may want to move your head, your face, more toward the center of it so that people will be able to see what your face looks like. Moving down the page here, name is self-explanatory, first name, last name. If you're in New York or California, you do have to put your DRE number here. You're legally required to. You can be fined. You have to put your DRE number here. So, and in, I forget what state is it. I think it's California. You do have to put the CA before that. You have to designate that it's a California license number. In New York, not so much. Everywhere else, it's not legally required as far as, nope, that's wrong. Where is it now required? I think Arizona. No, Arizona needs the broker. Some other state. I think it might be one of the Carolinas, actually. You're required to show your license number on any marketing materials or website as well. So if you're in one of those 3 states, have to put your license number on there. Everywhere else, it is optional, but it might be a good idea to just paste it in there just in case your state does require it and we don't know about it. Over here for team, again, only if you're part of a team would you put that team name in there. If you're not part of a team, you can leave this blank. Any designations down here that you've earned, so by default, you could probably put in Realtor. If you earned your CRS or CDPE or CIPS or any of those acronyms, you can put those in here. We haven't noticed a character limit here, but since they are abbreviations, you're probably not going to run into that unless you're very, very, very accomplished. Then it might stretch out a little too far and you might need to shrink it down some. Under that, for biography, this is going to be a public-facing biography. It's not like the one in Connect for the referral system. That's internal. This is public-facing. So more than likely, you're just going to copy and paste whatever your biography from your previous About page was here into this biography, which I guess is a good way to show that as an example. So we're going to go back to our export folder here from Playster. I'm going to open up my page.txt here. And I'm going to scroll down here to my About page. So I'm going to highlight all of this stuff here. This is the content from my About page. So I'll copy that, get rid of this here, paste that in. So we'll see these HTML tags here. We are going to have to remove those. So I'm going to get rid of these here. And if you see a P tag like that, that means that's one paragraph to another. So you might just want to hit that Enter key to put it on a new paragraph. Under that, we're going to hit Enter one more time, and then we'll get rid of these and hit Enter one more time as well. And then we've got this very last P here. We'll get rid of that. So your biography, again, you can copy and paste that from the Playster site. You just got to remove all those HTML tags there. Under that, your mobile phone is required, so is your office phone. If you don't have a desk phone at your office, just put your mobile phone in there. We're not sure why both of those are required, but you can put the same thing in both of those. If you have a fax number in 2019, you're welcome to put that there. I'm not sure why anyone would. It is 2019. Everything can be emailed. But if you do have a fax number, you can do that. Email, self-explanatory. Funnily enough, this is not required. You don't have to have an email on this spot, but it's a really good idea too, so that people can contact you and send you leads through your site. And then for your website here, it does need the http:// blah, 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 whatever your website address is. So if you've got a custom domain, you're going to put your domain in here. If you have the regular Playster address, the one that ends in .kw.com, you do that http:// whatever it is .kw.com. And that's going to, we're going to cover that in a minute. It's going to automatically be transferred from Playster over to the command sites when that switch happens. We'll cover that in a little bit. Down here for DBA logo, this is your Market Centers logo. What am I doing here? So this one does also need to be square, just like those other two images. It doesn't have to be exactly 360 by 360 either, just square and under 1 megabyte. Now, if you don't upload one that's square and it shows like the sides cut off or whatever in this circle, don't dismay. More often than not, that logo is not going to be shown in a circle. It's going to be shown rectangularly. So clients on your marketing materials and on your website are not going to see it cut off the way that you see it here in this preview. So don't panic, don't freak out. If all you have is a wider than tall logo to put in this spot for your market center, no big deal. Go ahead and upload it there. And if in the future you see that it maybe looks bad in some area, it's really easy to replace that with another image. And if you need help getting that square logo there, we have a lot of the Market Center logos already in that square format, and we can help you with that if you were to contact us at support@scottleroymarketing.com. Over to the right here, all of this information is, or excuse me, except the license number, all of this is required. So you do your Market Center's DBA name, so like Keller Williams Realty Little Rock or Keller Williams Realty Gulf Coast, which is in Pensacola where I'm from. You'd want to put the registered name with the board that's right here, especially if you're in one of those super strict states like Texas, California, New York, one of those. Street address here, city, state, and zip down here. And then if you know your brokerage's license number or if it's required in your area, you can put that right there as well. I can't think of anywhere in particular that would require that, but you guys would know your local laws better than we do. So if that's required, you can put that there as well. Down here for legal footer, you can either use this section or we're going to do it in the Kelly section to put in like your TREC links for your IABS and your CPN. And if you guys are outside of Texas and that's Greek to you, you can ignore it because it's just Texans that are going to need that information. So what you would do is if you're in Texas, you would do Texas Real Estate Commission information about brokerage services. And then do a colon, and then you'd be pasting in the link for your IABS here. So it'd be like https://images.market.com/ whatever the code is for that image. You can just copy that from your email signature or from wherever it was in Playster and paste that in right here. So I'll leave that there just to show you what it looks like. Down here for social media here, it does want the full http:// everything that you can get from the address bar when you go and look up those social media links. And if you don't have those, we actually have a handy-dandy class for where to find those, and I'm going to go look that up real quick. So in the chat window there, and if anybody's watching this on a recording in the future, you can always email us at support@scottleroymarketing.com, and we can send you that link also. So you would go and find those links and copy and paste the entire thing into these boxes here. Then we've got sections for your Facebook pixel and your Google Analytics for your website. So if you're on Facebook and you're running Facebook ads and you have a pixel set up to track people that come from Facebook to your site, see who they are and what they're doing on your site, you can put in that pixel ID here. It's a 15-digit number. If you don't know where to find that pixel ID, it's usually I wish I had an example of what it looks like, but it's a 15-digit number and it says ID equals, and then it's going to be in quotes. It's going to have an opening quote and a closing quote, and there's 15 digits in the middle there. You can copy and paste that in there. And then for Google Analytics, anybody familiar with Google Analytics should know what their tracking ID is. If you don't have Analytics set up yet, you can go to analytics.google.com and go create your account and put in the information that it asks for. It's going to ask for your website address, basically. And then it's going to generate a tracking ID, which is going to be like UA dash number dash number. And you would just copy and paste whatever that ID is here into this box as well. And then lastly here for your KW app, you're going to put in your own personal app link here. So you're going to paste in exactly your app link. And if you don't know where to find that, you actually get that from MyKW. So I'm going to come back over to my MyKW homepage here. I'm doing this in another tab, by the way. And on my MyKW homepage in the eEdge control panel, right next to My Marketing, we're going to click on the plus sign here, and we're going to click on Manage eAgency Website. Now, don't get hung up on that website word. This site was retired almost 5 years ago. The only reason this interface still exists is for this one purpose, to administer the KW app. So when you click on Manage eAgency Website, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show you what that looks like, but I can talk you through it really easily. It's a very simple process. When you click on that link there, it's going to open up the eAgency system, and on the left, you're going to have section 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.0. They're going to be stacked near the top left. If you click on section 4, it's going to drop down 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to click on section 4.5, Mobile Property Search. When you click on that, in the center of the page, there should be a drop-down. If your market center isn't already selected in that drop-down, go ahead and click on it, and it's going to drop down some more information under that, which includes your app link. It's going to be http://app.kw.com/kw, and then 5 or 6 or 7 digits there. That is your personal app link. Nobody else has that same code as you. You would just copy that, and you can paste that here into your marketing profile in Command. And that's it. That's everything that the profile is asking for. And this information is automatically going to be populated into the site when we get to the next step. So make sure to click Save down here at the bottom to make sure that information is going to be automatically populating. Okay, so now we're going to go complete the Kelly guide for setting up your website. It's going to guide us through step by step, item by item, putting in the information that's going to show on the site when it does go live. This is very much nicer than the last class I taught about something like this where you were filling out a PDF and you'd have to copy and paste that once the site goes live. This is way better because it's automatically going to put it in for you. So we're going to go down here over on the left in our side menu here, and we're going to click on, it's either going to say Sites or Landing Pages. And I don't know why it shows one versus the other for different people, but we're going to the same place here. Mine says Sites, yours might say Landing Pages, but we'll click on that. And then on this page, we have a section up at the top for landing pages, agent site page, and neighborhood pages. We're going to come over here to agent site page. And then down here at the bottom, we're going to click on this link that says Learn More with Kelly Guides. We're going to get into creating custom pages after we finish this. So don't worry, we're going to come back to it. But definitely, we're going to click on this Learn More with Kelly Guides to go through that process. So it says, what should I expect to get out of this guide? We're going to choose your subdomain. You're going to choose what your site looks like. And we're going to create the default pages that come with the site. And that is basically all that the site has at this point. So we're going to click on our Get Started button right here in the center. So very first thing we're choosing is what our custom domain is going to be. And it's going to look like this, whatever you choose, .kw.com, exactly the same as the place-through sites we're showing. So we've got scottleroymarketing.kw.com. We could do scottleroy.kw.com. We could do johnsmith.kw.com. It's going to be exactly what you have in the place-through system. Now, over here on the right, if claim domain is grayed out and it gives you a no icon when you try to click on it, that's good. That's a good thing. That means it's telling you your place-through domain, the one that you're already using, is already claimed for you. It's already part of what your site's going to have. David, that is a very good question, and we can't really know the answer to that until the sites come out. My Best guess is it's good to have a transparent background. It's not going to hurt anything if it doesn't, but in my experience where things auto-populate on marketing materials, especially in eEdge, if it's a PNG with a transparent background, it's maybe going to look nicer, but it's not required to. So it's kind of your taste whether you want it to have a transparent background or not. If you're not going to have a transparent background, you want the padding that's around it to be whatever you want it to match what's on the logo itself. So if you've got the logo and it has white in between the letters, you want the area around it to be white also. If it's the white logo with black between the letters, you want the area around it to be black also, if you're using a colored background. That's a good question. So where was I? So if it's not allowing you to claim the domain, that's good if you haven't made a change. So if you come in here and it automatically put this in here and you can't claim it, that's good. That means your place or domain is already claimed for you. Now, if you change this and it tells you you can't claim that domain, that means either someone else has already claimed it or it's got one of those prohibited terms that KW is not allowing. So like if you tried to do Gary, let me try that. Gary.kw.com. It's going to allow me to do that. That's weird. When they told us about choosing your domain, they said there was going to be a list of words that it's not going to allow. But that's weird. If someone wants to choose Gary.kw.com, try it. I'm not sure why that is available there. But best practice is if you can't put it in your KW email address, don't put it here in your website address. So real estate, realty, realtor, agent, KW, things like that, those are not allowed in your KW email, and that's prohibited by KW. So you also wouldn't be able to do those here in your domain name for your website. And if you do, it will probably allow you to. If you do put realty or realtor or real estate in there, there's the potential that either KW or your local board or your state licensing authority may come and get mad at you, and you might get in trouble about that, and they'll force you to change that. So stay away from realty, realtor, real estate, and agent especially. You can't do like MCA, you can't do compliance, things like that, just like with the KW email, and that's restricted by KW International. So you more than likely want to play off your name or your team's name or something like that. Now, one thing to point out here is no special characters. That means absolutely nothing but numbers and letters. You can't do a dash, you can't do a dot, you can't do a $sign, you can't do an underscore. You could do some of those on Playster, but when you're choosing a new domain here, you can't have the dash or the underscore. So they're gonna be all one word, like Scott Roy Marketing. And once you set this right here, if you go through the rest of the guide and you save it and you decide later, no, I don't want that address, you can come back through this guide up until the site launches and change that. Now, once the site does launch, we haven't been told whether those are locked in, whether you'll be able to change them as easily as you did the Playster address. So probably best to make sure that it's a domain that you really want, just in case it's locked in like the eEdge addresses. So we're going to leave it as the automatically claimed one here for Scott. And then down here, marketing profile information, this is that profile that we just filled out. It's going to automatically pull that information here into your site. And the only thing that you might need to update here is your professional job title. So here is where you could do like your realtor designation or sales agent or real estate salesperson or whatever, you're welcome to do that, especially in like New York. You have to put in your license title, and that would be the spot to do that. And we got the rest of information automatically populating from the, what's it called? Marketing profile. So remember where we put in that TREC link for the IABS in the legal footer here? The other option, if you're in Texas, is to put them here. So I could change this. I could move this out of here, cut that, and paste that into this box instead. We're welcome to do that. And you could do that with your CPN, and you could add additional links as well. So okay, so sorry, I got this a little bit backwards. So the text would go in this first box, very similar to the Playster site, and then the address, the link, would go down into, nope, I want to cut that, into the second box here. Same with the CPN or whatever other links you need to have in your footer. I'm going to delete that second one there. And then down here for imagery, it's going to have your picture automatically populated from the marketing profile, the DBA logo, the team logo, and then it's going to have an example there. It's got your social media links that were automatically populated from that profile. So if all that information still looks fine and you've got your title in there and you've got your links for your footer in there, you can click on Save and Continue. Now, we've heard reports from a lot of agents that when they click on Save and Continue, it says a required field has not been filled out or it does not have information in it. When we've seen that happen, more often than not, what needs to happen, let me go back here. Can I go back? Yeah, let me go back here. More than often, what needs to happen is when I go to the key, it says my white pages aren't updated. Right. So, Jerry, you can ignore that. You can skip the entire Playster section. You never did have a Playster site. You don't have to worry about it. It's nothing to panic about, promise. Okay? That doesn't concern you. Don't worry about it. So if you're filling out your Kelly guide here and it says there's an error, required field was not completed or something like that, most often what we've seen is if you go to your profile picture and you re-upload your profile picture, it'll allow you to save and continue. I don't know why. For some people, it treats it as if there is no profile picture when there clearly is one. But if that happens to you, re-upload your profile picture and it should let you continue. If it still doesn't, then you're going to have to reach out directly to KW International Support. And we have contact information for them if you send us an email. So we're going to save and continue to this next step. So what we're choosing here is the theme, the design, the look and feel of the site. Now this is currently, and there's going to be more options later, but currently, right at this moment, it's going to be even more limited than the Playster sites. On Playster, you had those 8 themes to choose from. Here you have 2. And what we're choosing here is the color of like the KW logo and certain buttons and links and titles. I don't think it's actually going to change anything else there. So we'll just pay attention to the KW logo here. With the red theme, it's going to be the KW red. If we do the dark theme, it's going to be kind of a gray or blue-gray color right here. And so it's telling you that this is going to change the KW logo, some links, some buttons, and some labels here. And those are your only options for the time being. There's no color picker. There's no custom code you can put in yet. Eventually, what they're telling us is that they're going to open it up to certain, what are they called, vendors, like KW-approved vendors, to be able to adjust some of the code on the sites. But the reason that they're deciding to restrict these down to certain themes and certain layouts and things like that is because they're wanting a cohesive experience. They want it to be all the way eventually from the main KW.com homepage down to market center sites, down to individual agent sites, down to your KW app, down to individual landing pages or what are they called? Neighborhood pages that you've created. They want all of those to have the same look and feel. That way, if someone is on your site and they click over and they're in their own neighborhoods page, or if they go over to the KW app, or if they go to the KW homepage, they know based on the look and feel of the site that they're still with KW, they're still working with you. Now, that is going to make some people mad, and don't shoot the messenger. Okay. Some people want more control. They want their site to look different from everybody else's. Unfortunately, that's not going to be possible, at least at the beginning, with these new sites. Eventually, it is going to open up to some vendors to be able to customize it some more. We don't know to what extent that's going to be. We don't know what it's going to look like, what's going to be available to change. But for the time being, these are your 2 options, red or dark. I'm just going to select red here. For homepage text here, you're choosing what this is going to say here. So you've got find your dream home. You could do your home search starts here, something like that. That's basically the same thing I put on the homepage for the Playster sites. And then down here, you're uploading up to 5 images that are going to show on your homepage. Now, this is a little different from the slideshow images on the Playster site. Only 1 image at a time is going to show on the homepage. So if I were to go visit your site, it may show me this picture. If the person next to me were to go visit your site, it may randomly go show them this picture right here. Another person visits your site, it's going to randomly show them any one of these 5 images here. So you're not going to be able to show all of these images all at once to one person all at the same time. Now, I believe, and this is my own conjecture, don't take this as gospel, I believe that if I were to visit your site and I were to go to another page and come back to the home page, there's a good chance that it would change to one of those other images there. So there's the potential for one person to see all those images, just not all at once. It's not a slideshow sliding them through. Now, like I said, that's not gospel. Don't treat that as gospel. That's just my guess, my own conjecture. So what you can do here is you can leave the 5 that are provided by KW here. These are nice, attractive images. But if you got some slideshow images from your Playster site that you downloaded using those links in that images section, or excuse me, in that images file, you can upload those here as well. You would click on delete, and then you'd upload your image in place of one of these 5. Now, I believe just like with Playster, you can delete all but one of these images, and there's only going to ever be one image on your homepage. It could be your team together. It could be a high dollar listing that you have or had, anything that you want in that section. Now, it's recommending some very large sizes here, and it does want it also square because it's going to show different sizes and different dimensions based on whether you're on a desktop computer or if you're on a tablet or if you're on a phone or if someone has split their screen and they're viewing it on half their screen and they're looking at something else on the other half. So it wants it square and it wants it a little bit bigger. Now, it doesn't tell us that there's any kind of file size limit here. So, you could be pretty big here. One thing to keep in mind, though, when you're uploading images to a website is that the bigger the file size, the bigger the image. Say you've got like a 5,000 by 5,000 pixel image, potentially you could upload that here, and we'll find out later whether that's possible. Potentially you could upload that here, but it's going to take forever to load when someone is actually looking at your site. So what they recommend here is to shrink that image down to 1200 by 1200. And when it gets resized and recropped and rearranged on different size devices, it's going to look good kind of everywhere. Now, don't plan your image here based on how it's going to look here on the homepage on a computer, because it's going to look different. It's going to shrink it. It's going to rescale it. It's going to maybe crop it when it goes onto a phone or onto a tablet or something. So if it looks good on your computer screen, say you've got a picture of your team and you're all standing here and all of your heads are up here above this, your home search starts here, and that's on the computer. If it shrinks it down to a what's that called, a phone size, it may crop it a little more narrowly over like to here and here. So if there's people standing over here or over here, they might get cut out. So we'll have to see what that looks like eventually when the sites come out. Just keep that in mind. So scrolling to the bottom here, that's the only thing you can do on this page is upload other images if you want to. Then we'll save and continue. So here on the company profile page, this is a value proposition page, and I only know that because I read the PDF file. There's nothing telling you what this is supposed to be about here on this page. So what we have available up here, and there's not really anything you can do with it besides rearranging it, is we have the navigation for the menu at the top of your site. So you can rearrange the order this is going to be on the site. Now, these are your only options. This is all you can do. Profile, about me, contact us. That's it. That's all you're going to have on the site, and then they can go home. And home is always going to be first. So you can rearrange these in this order if you want to. Underneath that, we've got our search engine optimization section. This is choosing, say someone were to find your page on Google or on Bing or Yahoo. The page title here is the blue link that people would actually click on when they're going over to view this page here, this value proposition page, this company profile page. So, what you want people to see on that search engine will be in this box here. Now, there's a rough, flexible limit of roughly 55 characters that will display on that search engine. After 55 characters, you run the risk of it being truncated down to ... So if you've got, if you've got learn why the Smith Simply Sells team is the greatest real estate team in the world, and you put that in this box here, then people might see learn why the Smith sells real blank or ... and that's all they'll see on the search engine. So you want to make sure it's going to fit on the search engine, which is roughly 55 characters. Under that, for the slug, people asked me what the slug was when I was on the phone yesterday. Slug is address. Can equate slug equals address equals slug equals address. They're the same thing. Slug is address. Don't get confused by the fancy industry term. Slug is address. So it's what's going to be after the slash on your website. So you already chose your website, your domain name, that's scottleroymarketing.kw.com. What you're putting in this box is after the slash. Every page has a slash and then whatever's in this box. So you can put whatever you want in here. It says no special characters. I guess dash doesn't count as a special character, which means I was probably wrong when I was telling you about choosing your domain. You probably can have a dash in there because I've got a dash here, so extrapolating. So this is going to be the address of your page. So if you were to tell someone, or someone asks, why should I hire you, and give it to me quick, I got to go, or just give me your website, you could do scottleroymarketing.kw.com and tell them /value-proposition. And if they remember that, they can just type that in. They'd end up right at this page. And then here for this SEO description, this is underneath that blue link when you show up on the search engine results. It's the gray text that people are reading before they come into the page on your site. So this needs to be a helpful, human-readable description of what people are going to find on this page before they even get to the page, before they click on that search engine result. So this is not, and I'm only going to say this once, this is not the place to put in quote-unquote meta tags with comma, 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 comma. Don't do that. I personally forbid you from doing that. That's not what this is for. It's supposed to be human readable. Real live human people are going to see what's in this box when you show up on search engine results. If they see comma, 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 they're going to know you're trying to show up for every single possible search engine result that you can, and that's not what this is for. They're going to ignore that. So you want it to be what is actually going to be on this page before someone clicks it. Scrolling down here, and I realize we are going over time. There's a little bit more to cover here than I was expecting. So bear with me. Again, this is recorded if you need to come back to this later. Okay. So for content, you're choosing what's actually going to show on the page. In the section before, we were choosing what's going to show on the search engine. Here in content, this is actually what's going to be viewable on your site. So I'm going to change this to value proposition or something like that, or why hire us, something like that. And I could change that here on the search engine optimization as well. Content, there we go. And then under that, we've got this section where we can upload a header image. That's this image back here. By default, it's going to be this, whatever this downtown is. It may be Austin. I don't know. I've never been to Austin. I see Google back there. But you can also upload your own image, and it recommends it to be a lot wider than it is tall. Now, it's very similar to the images that you would put on the slideshow in Playster. This is roughly 4 times as wide as it is tall. So 2,000 by 500. What was I trying to say there? That is their recommended size. And it looks like there isn't a file size limit, but again, larger file size means it's going to take longer to load when someone's trying to view your site. And you would upload that right there. For your intro paragraph, this is up to 250 characters, and it's going to show right underneath this header image here. Under that, we've got our section 1 headline here, and there's going to be some content that you can put into this spot here, and then there's going to be an image over to the right side that you can upload in this spot, and it's got this, pre-loaded image here. You would upload maybe your rainmaker, or if you're the only person, you could upload your picture here. Under that, we have a section 2. So we've got a headline here and some content to put under that. And then there's an image over here on the left. So you could put maybe your logo or maybe one of your yard signs or a nice listing that you have or have had. And then down here, we've got a footer section. And I believe, what happens if I leave this blank? It's not going to show anything there, but will it let me continue? Yeah. So what you could put into that footer section, let me come back to content here, is, in summary. Don't actually say in summary. If you've ever written a college essay, you never ever actually say that. You just start with what would come after in summary. So this is why you should hire us, something like that. Once you've got the content on this page, you can click continue. Or if you don't want to use this page, you could take out all of that content and click on skip. If you don't want to have this value proposition page for why people should work with you. If you think it's redundant and you're already going to have that information on the about page, you can just skip this page and not have it. We're going to continue. So here on the About page, I forgot to cover this actually before we got into these sections here. There are either 4 or 5 pages that you're going to have on your site to begin with, and that's it. That's all the pages you're allowed to have at the time being. Eventually, you're going to have the ability to add your own pages, but right now, there's only going to be either 4 or 5 pages, depending on whether you're the Rainmaker on a team. If you're not the Rainmaker on a team, you're going to have the home page, you're going to have that value proposition page we just worked on, you're going to have your About Me page that we're working on right now, and you're going to have your contact page. That's it. There's going to be no testimonials, no blog, no past sales, no what's my home worth, no any of that here on the site to begin with. Eventually, you will be able to add more. If you're the Rainmaker on a team, you are going to have one more page that you can add, and that's going to be a Meet the Team page. Viewer 62, if you've ever watched any of our other classes previously, they're all recorded, every single one of them, at slmtraining.com. So S is in Scott, L is in Leroy, M is in marketing, training.com. And it should be up there within just a couple of hours probably, but at the latest it should be there tomorrow, and I'll be doing that myself. Okay, so here for the About Me page, that was my tiny little rant about all those pages. You got your title, which is, this is the search engine section. So this is showing on the search engine results. So you may not want to make this About Me, or you could do, maybe About Scott. And that's what would show on the search engine. Again, you're choosing the address, the part that comes after scottleroymarketing.kw.com and the slash. Whatever you put in this box is going to be after that. So if I change this to About-Scott, it changes that here. And you don't necessarily have to remember this. The only thing really that you need to remember about slug is it equals address. For all intents and purposes, slug equals address. And then down here for SEO description, this is again that gray text that's going to show under the blue link when someone sees this page on search engine results. So again, no comma separated quote unquote meta tags. Nobody uses those anymore. It's pointless. So again, helpful, human readable information about what's going to be on this page before people even click on it. Down here for content, you've got your About Me, you've got your page title, which is this right here, right underneath your picture. And this picture is automatically pulling from your command marketing profile, which we filled out before. Got the title, which is going to be this section right here. This, where does this come from? I feel like this comes from that marketing profile back at the beginning as well. So this is the title that you put in on that marketing profile, and this is the team name. If you don't have a team name, it's going to leave out this whole at everything here. It's just going to put your title. For your bio title, that's what's going to be here. Maybe Get to Know Scott. And then down here is where your biography would go. Underneath that, you've got this that you're changing right here. So contact Scott, give us a call, reach out to us. We're always available, something like that. Always, something like that. And then you got your contact information here. And this is, again, going to automatically populate from that marketing profile. So then we'll click Continue. And then we've got our contact page. This is, again, the search engine section. Got that blue link that's going to show on the search engine result. Choosing the address here. I don't recommend anything at all besides contact. That's the only thing that I would recommend to put in this box. You could put contact-us, contact-me, contact-the-team, whatever. But I recommend just contact. It's short and sweet and easy to remember. And then, again, that description that shows on the search engine result. And then down here for content, you're choosing this header right here. We've got contact us. Got intro paragraph, feel free to reach out to us and we can blah, 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 something like that. And then message hints. So this is going to be this preloaded text here that says, are you looking to buy or sell? What's your time frame? All of that. This is a placeholder. So when someone starts typing here, it's going to replace whatever you put in this box. Okay? I didn't realize we could actually type over there. Then phone and email is automatically going to populate from what am I trying to say? From that marketing profile, it'll show down here if someone doesn't want to use this contact form. One of the things people complained about a lot on the Playster sites is that there wasn't a place that showed what their email address was in plain text. It was trying to protect you from getting spam, but these sites either are not worried about that or have different measures to protect you from spam. So we're going to save and continue that. And that's it. That's all there is for filling out the Kelly Guide. All that information we just put in there is going to be on the site when it gets launched. Now, this last section, we're going to cover what to do for preparing your domain to automatically forward from the Playster site, if you're using the Playster site, to the command site. If you're using the eEdge site, that's going to be a little bit different of a process. We're going to assume that we're working with Playster instead. If you're using eEdge, it's basically going to be the same thing that you're doing with eEdge. You're just going to change the address that it's forwarding to. But for Playster, we're going to go and we're going to log into our domain registrar and change what that looks like. So let me go get some login information here. Okay, so this is just for GoDaddy. These same principles are going to apply no matter what your domain registrar is, if they have the same features. Not all domain registrars have the same features. So you may want to contact your registrar directly and ask them to help you get this redirect done. So the way that, what are we looking at? CoreyBenhart.com. So I'm going to go to DNS here. So here for GoDaddy, we're going to leave this A record alone, but we are going to change the CNAME record for www. We clicked on the pencil icon to go to the edit spot here, and it's going to, if you're using the Playster site, it's going to say, what is it called? Domains.myrealestateplatform.com. You're going to change that to just the @ symbol. If it already has the @ symbol here, just leave it alone. If you're using the, you click on DNS management. You click on that, and this is all that I've covered since then. You haven't missed anything. So if it doesn't already say @ make it say @ and save it. And then the last thing we'll do here is scrolling down to the bottom here for forwarding. If you were using the Playster site, there's not going to be anything in this section. If you were using the eEdge site, it's already going to have your eEdge site address here. So we're going to edit this. Or if you're using the Playster site, you're going to click on the Add button because there's not going to be anything here. And we're going to change this to whatever your custom domain was that you chose in that Kelly Guide. So like for us, it would be scottleroymarketing.kw.com. For you, it might be johnsmith.kw.com. You'd put that in here. And it doesn't need the whole https:// because that's already automatically going to be added based on this drop down right here. So it's just johnsmith.kw.com. And you want this to be a permanent forward type. And we want it forward only, not forward with masking. And then if you're adding a new record, there's should be a checkbox down here that says update my name servers or update my DNS records to match this change. Check that box if that box is available. If it's not available, then don't worry about it. But if it is available, check that box. And then you'll click on save. And then it may take a couple of minutes. It usually does. If you want to map instead of forwarding, that's one of the things I should have covered before I got started. That's not possible. It's not possible with the new sites, at least at the beginning, is what they're telling us. So right now, it's just forwarding. No matter what we want, no matter what we say, that's just what's available. Eventually, they're telling us it will be able to be mapped, but right now, it's just simple forwarding, and we can change that in the future once that becomes available. I know that's not good for SEO, but it is what it is. We can't do anything about it. So once you've made that change, now this is still, if you're using the Playster site, it's going to go to your Playster site. It's just not going to show your address, your custom domain in the address bar. It's just going to show the Playster address, the one that ends in .kw.com. So that on the 22nd, when the Playster site goes away and the new sites take over that address, it's just going to automatically change the forwarding. It's going to go to the new command site. That's the easiest way to make sure your custom domain is going to still work until the 22nd and then automatically switch over on the 22nd. Now, if you want to keep using that mapping and you want your custom domain to show in the address bar until the 22nd, on the 22nd, you need to come in here and do this so that it can forward over to the command site instead, because the Playster site, again, is going completely away and your mapping won't work anymore. So that's it for getting prepped for the new command sites. That's absolutely everything that's possible to do. I don't believe I missed anything, but if you feel like I did, definitely send me that in the chat window. Beyond this, it's a hurry up and wait game. We're waiting 3 weeks for the sites to come out. And if you haven't done this yourself, you're waiting for the recording, definitely do that and follow along with the recording. If you have other people in your office or on your team or friends that are working in your office that didn't attend this class, encourage them very strongly to watch this recording and get this all done for themselves so that they're not panicking, scrambling, trying to reach out to us in KW International and your market center leadership on the 22nd. Okay, viewer 43 says, how many pages will we be allowed to set up? I said that when we were setting up those pages. If you're not the rainmaker on a team, you have 4: home, about, contact, and value proposition, at least at the beginning. In the future, no idea if there's any limit. But right now, that's it, those 4. If you're the rainmaker on a team, you can add a page for Meet the Team, which I totally forgot to cover. What we've done here now is we're going to go manage sites, which is going to take us back to the sites page here in Command. If you are the rainmaker on a team, we're going to come to this agent site page section here within Command. We're under sites here on the left. We're going to click on agent site page, and we're going to click create a new site. And we're going to choose on my agent site. We're not going to do as a standalone page. We're going to do on my agent site and then create page here. And then if you are the rainmaker of a team and your team settings have been set up properly in Winmore and in Command, you've got everybody assigned to their different roles and everything, all you're going to need to do is up here under widgets, under widgets, you're just going to click and drag the team box over here. And voila, that's it. And then you'll come down here to configure widgets, and we'll click on team that we want to configure. And you're basically just changing the headline up here. And you're changing this info or intro text right here. And then you select the name of your team right here. Now, Scott's not on a team, so I can't select a team. So it's not going to show me what it looks like once it all gets filled out. But if you are on a team and it's all set up properly, when you select that team and you save and apply, their pictures, if their marketing profiles are filled out, it's going to pull it from their marketing profiles. So you have to get with your team members and make sure they have filled out their marketing profiles. Their picture, their phone number, and their email are going to show on this Meet the Team page. Once you click on Save and Apply, and then you save changes. And then that should, hopefully, I can't 100% say this, but it should show on that site when it gets launched on the 22nd. Again, this is only for rainmakers on a team. Anybody that doesn't have a team or is not the rainmaker is not going to have the option here. That's going to be it for prepping for the new Command sites. That's everything that you can do to get ready prior to the 22nd. On the 22nd or after the 22nd, the first Wednesday after that, we are going to have a new class going over actually using that site. So I'm going to have some serious work ahead of me for when that site does come out. Until then, everybody have a great day.